Second card goes across the first one, and it shows any obstacles, if there are going to be obstacles, what they're going to be like, where they're going to come from, and how difficult they're going to be to overcome. So if you have a good card here, there's the Seven of Cups, castles in the air, illusions and delusions. If that's the opposing force, then you have to be realistic. And that's sort of the antidote, or to counteract illusion. What do? Be practical, keep your feet on the ground, be realistic. And if you do that, then obstacles won't be as difficult to overcome, or obstacles are just going to disappear, and you're going to realize that really there are no obstacles. Whereas if you've got something like the Queen of Pentacles as the opposing force, the Queen, an older woman, dark hair, if you want to use that kind of meaning. So this older woman is going to be the one who will stop you moving forward, or moving in the direction of which to go, in which you wish to go. So it could be somebody else, but it could also be a voice in your own head. It could be a part of you that wants to be a serious, let's say, matriarchal figure, like a mother figure. You know what I mean? So depending on who the questioner is and what this first card is, you would maybe give the person 2 or 3 types of people who are likely to be the ones who would get in the way of this card. And so some people are impressed if you can tell somebody, yes, this person's going to be called Betty, or her name's Elizabeth, and there is somebody called Elizabeth. That can be very impressive that you come up with a name, but you sort of don't need to. And if you can give people 2 or 3 possibilities and one of them works, that's fine, I think. You don't really need to be able to say this, this woman called Elizabeth is born on the 12th of October 19 whatever, and lives at such and such a street and such an address. That's already impressive, but you don't really need to aim for that type of detail, I don't think. Okay, so the first card's there, the atmosphere surrounding the question, the opposing force, what it's like, and depending on how strong this card is, you're going to know how easy it's going to be to overcome the obstacles. So if you've got the Emperor against you, that's a lot to overcome. Whereas if you've got something, I'm trying to think of something, well, there's the Six of Cups. Nice, friendly card. That's like, if you tell these people, go away, they're cooperative, they're just going to go away. So there isn't going to be that much conflict from them. They're not going to get in the way too much. So the atmosphere surrounding the question, the opposing force. Third card goes down below. I'll take another one we haven't seen. And it represents the foundation. So it shows the past. This is the present and the future. The second one. And so this is the foundation, and it shows what you have to build on. So if you've got a strong card here, here's the Magician. You've got a good foundation, and it changes how you understand this first card. Because this in some ways is a starting point, because it's what you're building on, it's how you began and what you were like in the past. The Magician, a major trump, it's upright, ideas, inspiration, understanding, energy and enterprise, all contained in this card. So in the past you were full of ideas, full of beans. Now at this point, it's the Ace of Swords upside down, so you were full of ideas there, but you're kind of in a lull, or maybe you're not quite as motivated now as you were in the past, when you were sort of in connection or connected with your greatest self, we could say. Whereas if this is upright, then you've got good ideas here in the past, and you're doing something with them. Whereas here, you had good ideas in the past, and maybe you're not doing something, the right things with one of those ideas, or with a bunch of those ideas, because it's an ace, but it's upside down. So for yourself, take a minute and see if you can figure out the connection between the questioner in the past and what they're like in the present right now. Because these two go together in some way. They can support each other and tell the same kind of story, or they can contradict each other. In which case you know that what you were like in the past isn't really moving forward in the way you had thought you would when you were in the past. Okay, so that's the present, the opposing force, the past, and this represents, on the left-hand side, it represents the influence that's passing away. So you take this one, and you relate, so this King of Pentacles, it can be somebody else, and the person, so this is a person in your life who won't be there much longer, certainly not in the same, playing the same kind of role in the future that they're playing right now, because the King of Pentacles is on his way out. Whereas, and so if it's a bad card, or let's say a card of pain and suffering, trying to find one here, let's say this one, Four of Swords, which is not the happiest of cards. So if this is here, the influence is passing away, you can reassure the questioner, okay, this has been tough, but don't worry about it, it's on its way out. If you take this card and it's upside down, you're going to be doubly pleased because this upside down card of Swords is moving away, and it's the past. It's on its way out. So it's what's passing away. And again, relate the first card, the Foundation, because in some ways this card, which is the Foundation, developed into this card, right? Because that's the past, and this is what's passing away. But what's passing away didn't just suddenly materialize from nowhere. There's a connection between this card and this one, because this in some way developed into that. And you can also usefully do these two, this and this. The atmosphere surrounding the question combined with what's passing away. And that's why I'm saying it's like a Shakespeare play, because, you know, you can just say this is now, that was in the past, and this is the future. But when you look at and begin to see connections between cards, you can get a more complete story and give more understanding to the questioner. So they leave better informed about what's going on, how they get into that situation, what their contribution was, and how their way of thinking or behaving or acting caused or brought about a particular situation, and if they'd done something differently, if they'd handled the same situation in a different way, there would have been a different result. And you can find that when you have the same suit, swords and swords, then you've got the same kind of thing happening. So for instance, if we had, let's say this is the Queen. Let's say we've got, okay, this is you now, the Seven of Pentacles, and there's the Queen of Pentacles. So somebody that you know now is leaving, or let's say you're going to have this card in the future, you can then relate it back to this. Because the first card is Seven of Pentacles, if you find Pentacles in the future, then it's telling you something that it's like there's going to be the same circumstance to deal with in the future. Whereas if you have different suits here for the future, then you get different circumstances and conditions to deal with. I don't think I explained that very well, but I hope you get the point that I was trying to make. So that's that, okay?